First, thank you all for coming. A lot more of a bigger turnout than I was expecting, to be honest. So thank you for making this first one a success. So I'm just going to start with a few disclaimers. So we are filming and there'll be some photos. We're not going to go through the effort of blurring people out, so if you don't want to be on camera, go to the back or hide. Make sure you're wearing your ID tags. We have our security team here as well, so they are being known to break people's legs if they're not wearing the tags. Just a general, respect the building, stay in this area, don't go wandering around the building. We do have a slide, I know you can't use it. Yeah, and the event probably will try and wrap up at about 9:30, so there'll be some socialising and networking after, but around 9:30 we'll try and wrap up. So this is a community event, so we encourage people to talk, we want feedback, we want this to be an interactive session, and a bit about the format of this event. So myself and Christa, we're just going to do a small introduction. Luke is going to lead the majority of the session. It's a very open session, it's trying to promote discussions. Get a lot of feedback and experience from you guys. So what is Mind the Product and what is ProductTank? So this is the mission statement taken from the official site. So Mind the Product is basically the largest product community in the world. It's built by product people for product people, so it's not sponsored by any big organisations or no one's kind of got their filthy corporate clause in anything we're doing here, so it's all above board. It says here to push our craft forward, and I really agree with this. I think what we do in product management, I mean, it's important that we build great things, but I think it's also important that we put a lot of effort in how we build stuff as well. Sorry, just reading the notes. So it does say here it's for product people, but we want to open it up a bit. So by product people, we don't just mean people who are product owners and product managers. So software developers, QAs, security, operations, business, anyone who kind of works with a product team, you're more than welcome to come and contribute and help us to refine our craft. And even if you don't work directly in product, I think a lot of the stuff that we do you can take into your industries as well. So if you take backlog management, for example, it's basically prioritization, right? Stakeholder management is basically how to deal with annoying people. Building roadmaps is basically planning. So a lot of the stuff we do, I think, can be transitioned across into other areas. So a brief timeline, Mind the Product. So the first ProductTank, 2010. I think it started in London in a pub. I think it started with about 25 people. I think now there's about 150,000 people registered, so in 2 years, quite a lot. Mind the Product was founded in 2011, so this was kind of where they started to build an online community. And then in 2012 in London, they had their first Mind the Product conference. And then obviously throughout the years, more and more product tanks and conferences came up. And obviously 10 years later, here we are, Malta's during the party. So there's 185 product tanks around the world, so very, very big community. And on this day, these are the other product tanks that are happening in this country as well. So lots of nice scenic imagery there for everyone. So we're the organisers, so myself, Luke, and Christa. So if you have any problems, any feedback, any questions, feel free to reach out and come and talk to us. So yeah, hand you over to Christa now.
Hello everyone. So the reason why we actually decided to start a product tank in Malta is due to the fact that there are a number of people on the island who are working in product-related roles. Whether you're doing development, product ownership, product design, they all somehow tie into product. So what we would like is to leverage this community we have and actually bring people together to discuss ideas, learn more about product, and even maybe learn how product works in different industries. It also creates a really good opportunity to just meet people who are working in similar roles and also to keep up to date with the latest product trends. What we would really like from these events is to actually have these products driven by the community, which is basically everyone here. So whether you're interested in speaking at the next event, whether you have feedback, whether you would like to host an event, feel free to reach out to one of the organizers after the event, and we can definitely do something together. I'm going to hand over to Luke now.
Good evening. Right, how's everyone doing? Good. Okay, so today I want to talk a bit about maybe not the first thing you think about when you think about product management, product ownership, user UX design, etc. But it's a subject that's very close to heart, and I think it's very, very important that we keep this in mind when we're working with other people, when we're working in a team, right? Especially in product teams. And that obviously is the importance of culture and mindset in products. But first things first, I want to ask you all a question. GIF, how do you pronounce it? Is it GIF or GIF? Who says GIF? GIF. Who says GIF? Okay, I was expecting it to be the other way around. So apparently, the majority of people pronounce it as GIF. But the actual inventor of GIF wanted to have it pronounced as GIF. So the majority here seem to be right. Well done. Okay, so that's the important thing out of the way now. I'll start by showing you a GIF. Okay, we'll go with democracy. Democracy first. This is a football game. For the people who don't know anything about football, me included, don't worry. All you have to know is there is a group of people wearing red, they're a team. A group of people wearing yellow, they're a team. There's a ball, everyone's trying to run after it. And there's the man in white who never seems to be able to catch the ball. I'm joking, he's the referee. Okay, so I think you don't need to be a big football fan to appreciate that, in this scenario that we're seeing, there's a certain level of skill, people passing the ball to each other, like there are 3, 4, 5 passes, and then they scored the goal. I don't think you need to be a big football fan to appreciate that there's a certain level of skill involved there. There's a certain level of agility. It seems, the action is very flowing, and determination as well. Like everyone's working together to work towards a goal. And if you think about it, it's very similar to what we do in product teams. Even if you're not a product team, but we're talking about product teams mostly here. We're a group of highly skilled people, okay? There's a lot of bright people working with us who come together. We spend a lot of time together for an extended period of time to solve hard business problems. This quote, by the way, it's not mine. It's from Marty Kagan. Marty Kagan is the author of a book called Inspired. Highly recommended read for anyone involved in products, especially product management. But anyway, we're a group of people work together when trying to solve business problems, right? And back to the GIF again, what I really like about this is that, and what it inspires me is that, I look at it and I say, man, I wish, as a product team, we work that efficiently, that quick. It's also like it's almost like we can read each other's minds, and so to me, this is a very I'm getting a bit over the top now. It's inspirational, okay? You get the gist of it. Now, and I think who in here would like to work? Actually, let me reverse it. Who in here thinks that the current product team that you're working with, is functioning as flawlessly as what we see here? Okay, impressive. We need, so there's a lot to learn from these people, okay? Who would like to have his product team working like this? Okay. So we've got a lot of people who want to learn. Me included, by the way. Okay, so. Yeah, so, and, you know, I want to first get a bit your thoughts. So I think we have another mic somewhere. Maybe we can get that. Yep. I'd like to hear a bit your thoughts. What do you think are important characteristics of high-performing teams? You know, what can anyone? There's no wrong answer. Like anyone?
Understand business needs.
Can you?
To understand.
Try number 2.
We are a technology
To understand business needs.
Nice, I agree. Other characteristics of high-performing teams.
Transparency.
Transparency. Nice, I like that. Collaboration.
Common objective.
Common objective, a vision, a strategy, like a common strategy, a community, transparency. Oh, communication. Yes, so clear communication, transparency, working towards the same objective.
Listening.
Yep. Listening. Yeah. So these are all really important things, and I think today I want to take a step back and focus. Well, not take a step back, maybe dig deeper and focus a bit on the foundations. And I think a lot of you already agree with me from what you've responded. So personally, I think there are 2 key characteristics that are really, really important for building strong product teams. And to me, they are trust and having a growth mindset. And I'm going to focus a bit on the trust first, and I'll move on to growth mindset later on. So why trust, right? When we feel trusted as individuals, we feel comfortable with being vulnerable, right? I think that's a really good definition of trust. So being in the presence of others and being comfortable feeling vulnerable, being comfortable asking awkward questions, asking questions that you're not sure on the answer of, is a good signal that you can trust someone. Now think a bit in product teams. Think about the engineer who is always looking at the code base, who knows the product that you're working on inside out. He's probably an expert. But imagine this engineer doesn't feel trusted by the product manager, by the rest of the team members, right? When that happens, he's probably going to be thinking about different improvements that can be made to the product. You know, he has some ideas. He might think they're not great ideas, you know, so he'll stay back. He won't talk about them. You know, he doesn't feel comfortable being vulnerable, and when in reality those ideas might actually trigger a conversation that would lead to very innovative change in the product. So not having not having trust in product teams can lead to reducing innovation, right? So a lack of innovation. So feeling vulnerable is one thing. When you feel trust, when you trust someone, you are also comfortable knowing knowing that they're doing a good job, right? Knowing that you can trust other people to do a particular job, carry out achieve something. So again, what happens when, for example, classical example, when the CEO or the director of product, or I don't know, VP of product, depending on which company you're working on. What happens when these people don't trust the new PMs they've just brought in? It's a frequent. We listen to these problems very frequently, where we bring in someone. we're paying him to manage the product, we're paying him to improve the product, we're paying him to look at, how we should improve the product, but we tell him what to do because we don't really trust him with our business, like with our biggest product, but so we tell him, okay, but first, you're gonna do product discovery, but first there's this project they want you to work on, and then after that there's a backlog of other projects, you know what I mean. So there are two impacts because of this. On one end, there's a certain level of micromanagement, so lack of trust ends up in a lot of micromanagement generally, which obviously the effect of it is that these people should be focusing on growing the company, focusing on other things. They're using their time to use it on things that other people should be working on. But on the flip side, from the other side, there's also this lack of trust is also, it's a bit of a frustration as well, right? So there's frustration building up, and it's not good for the team. So you can understand, at least these are some of the things that come to mind when I'm talking about, why trust is so important. Anyone had any issues, experiences with trust issues, people not trusting you, or maybe you not trusting people? Let's be honest. We all do that, right? We all fuck up. Sometimes we don't trust people. Sometimes we do micromanagement ourselves. Anyone would like to share his experiences? No? Yep.
Just say you see it a lot between departments. You see trust problems between departments all the time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just in a product team, but between departments. And this is a big problem.
Yeah, definitely. Big problem, trust. In a product team, you work well, but then when you get to when you talk about the other departments, they're not gonna do this well. What am I gonna do? I think I need to do this myself, right? Because the other department know jack shit. Okay, yeah, that's anyone else? Okay, I'm sure there are more, but we'll continue going. By the way, Ashley said we're going to be here till at least I understood it that way. We're not going to be here till 9:30. I'm not going to be talking till 9:30. Okay, so but you can stay eating and drinking till 9:30. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about now about some things that I believe help in improving the trust in organizations, in teams. But I think, sorry, what's your name, please? Jeremy. Jeremy raised a really important point that trust is not just within product teams, it's across the company, right? So trust needs to be something that is embedded within the whole company as a value, if you like, as something that the whole company is doing. And here are some things that I think companies should start embracing more and more to build trust within the organization. I'll start first by my first point, which I think is super important, and that is having no hidden agendas whatsoever is, I think, key to building trust. We all want to be successful, actually. So who would be happy if you had to go to work tomorrow and you're not going to get paid? Who would be happy doing that? Yeah. So we all go to work to earn money, right? It's no secret. Who would be happy if your boss phones you right after ProductTank, because your mobile phone is silent during ProductTank, and it tells you, listen, from tomorrow I'm giving you a 70% raise in your wage. Who would be happy with that? Okay. I'm surprised I see some hands still down here, but I would be super happy, right? So what am I trying to say? Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to earn more money. Everyone would like to either get a promotion to a managerial role or maybe get a promotion to a more senior role in his technical expertise. I think this should be clear across the company, you know, and everyone talks about it openly. But I think the important thing is that when we are talking about success, we first talk about team success, and we start focusing more on, if the team is successful, then the individuals in that team will also be successful, right? So aligning the success of each individual, the success of the product with the success of the team. I think this is really important. If you're in a team and you know that your peer is trying to impress to get the promotion and you also want that, there's going to be some tension there, right? Inevitably. So I think this is something that we need to talk about more, and yeah. Another point: decisions taken need to be explained to the team, not just communicated. I think we talk a lot about communication, and we communicate a lot of things. Like, for example, I need you to work on this because it's the most important thing. Bye. Right? It happens. Communication, I think it's important to understand that people also want to understand the why. People are curious, right? So let's talk at the product team level first. Product manager, product owner, whatever you like. Maybe we can have a session of what is the difference between a product manager and product owner, was one of the feedback we received. But anyway, product manager, product owner comes to the team and says, listen, like, this is the ordered backlog, and we're going to work on this. The engineers know there's a ton of technical debt that needs to be dealt with. Who does not have technical debt, right? And the first question that will pop up in their head will be, but why this? I can think of 1,000 other things that are more important than this. And most of the time it's because we're not explaining the why. Engineers are not software developers. I really like this term. Engineers are software engineers for a reason. They are highly skilled individuals. They want to know why we're prioritizing that. Does that make the job of the PO redundant? Well, I'd like to think that as POs we should work towards making ourselves redundant, and everyone knows exactly what the next priorities should be so that we don't need POs. That will never happen, but I think that is what we should strive for. And you're not going to lose your job. Don't worry. If you're a PO, you're not going to lose your job. We always need that bit of alignment, everyone. So it's important. But I'm going to go a step higher now and talk about, maybe we've got some senior management in here as well, right? One of the things that used to really bother me, and I think it bothers a lot of people, is that when it comes to the financials of the company, when it comes to the CFO, he is or she is she who must not be named. And the financials are not shown to anyone, and we don't share, any information about the long-term strategy of the company, and it's kept hidden from the employees. And this does. When we do this, when senior management does this, unfortunately, the first thought that comes to mind is either, so obviously talking from a person who's down in the trenches doing the work, either they think I'm stupid and I don't have the level of knowledge to understand these things, one option, or two, they don't trust me, right? So I think, again, we should focus on, whichever level it is, we should always focus on the why. So what I found really helpful was, when you're preparing a communication to go out to the team, to whoever, you always ask yourself, but why? But why? And keep asking why until it's super clear in your head, and make it clear, obviously, that if people want more questions, you're open to answer them. So increasing transparency and honesty breeds trust. Feedback. I think it's super important, especially in teams. I won't even say product teams because it's in teams in general. Is that we give honest and frequent feedback to each other. But most importantly, we are also receptive to feedback ourselves. So we don't just give feedback. And on this subject, there is this book. I highly recommend reading the first 2 chapters. Then you'll get bored to death, and it's just a repetition of the same thing. Sorry, Kim Scott. But I really, really recommend getting comfortable with this concept of radical candor. And what radical candor is basically a method of giving feedback where you challenge directly a person. So if there is feedback that you think should be given to the person, you need to give it. Okay? Now, some people like to use the term blunt and honest and direct feedback. And a lot of people think that by giving blunt and honest and direct feedback, you're a bit of an asshole, right? Because sometimes it feels like you're front stabbing someone with the feedback. But the concept of radical candor, what Kim Scott says is that it's not about being honest and brutal in the feedback, but it's about making sure that that feedback is coming from a good place. It's coming from a place that I'm giving you this feedback because I want you to improve and I want you to be as successful as, the most successful people in your field. And it's the same thing the other way around. So how many times did we shy away from giving feedback? Maybe I won't give it. And maybe it's because you care too much about the person and you don't want to hurt him. But actually, that's what Kim Scott terms as ruinous empathy. You're ruining the person because you're not giving him, advice on where to improve because you care too much about him. But that empathy is ruining him. On the other hand, as I said, it's not just about giving brutal feedback, especially if it comes from a place of anger, because that is you're just being obnoxious. You're just being aggressive for no reason. Whenever we give feedback, it needs to be constructive. It needs to come from a good place. And would anyone like to share reasons where, that prevented you from giving feedback in the past?
I guess in general it depends on what kind of response you're thinking that you're going to get.
Yep, so unsure from the response of how the person is going to respond. Yep.
I think when the person's more senior than you are.
Yep, person's more senior than you are. Absolutely. So you're not sure how they're going to take you. He's your senior, he can fire you.
Knowing that nothing will change?
Knowing that nothing will change. So giving the feedback and that's it. It's gone. Anyone else?
You don't trust the person can improve.
Sorry, can you repeat?
If you don't trust the person can improve.
Yep. So you doubt the ability of the other person on the other end. Yep. I think that emphasizes the importance of hiring good people that are fit in your organization, right? We can have a topic on that on its own. So agreed. Here's what prevented me. So very similar. Fear of losing my job. Do I go to my director and tell him, actually, you're quite shit? Do I go to my VP and tell him, listen, fuck off, you don't know what you're doing? No. By the way, I didn't say that, but just trying to joke, okay? We joke here, okay? So fear of losing my job. Am I risking a bad score in my next performance review? Is this going to impact? It's going to impact me negatively. Introducing friction in the team. Am I going to respond? And I'll probably end up introducing unwanted friction. In reality, what I was doing was I was not giving the feedback. I was getting more people in the team upset because the mistakes were being repeated and repeated, and I was introducing friction by not giving feedback. And these two are very close to heart. Am I qualified to give this feedback? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm sure I'm right, but maybe I'm wrong. So I'll take a step back. And this is obviously a little bit of imposter syndrome creeping in. It's common. It happens to everyone. And these are all things that prevent us from giving feedback. Anyone would like to share what you did not like receiving now direct feedback? Everyone likes direct feedback. Nice. Okay, I'm the only one then. Here's what I didn't like. There's someone else telling me I'm not good enough. Again, a little bit of imposter syndrome creeping in. God, I must be doing a horrible job. Like, people are coming to me, just telling me how to improve. But and I'm doing other things well. Like, I'm really trying hard, and I'm sure I've improved on the other things. But so why focus on the negative, right? So these are all things that come to mind that when you receive direct feedback. But yeah, I think the important thing that we need to keep in mind is that, and I think this needs to be instilled in companies, as Jeremy said earlier as well, not just teams, is we need to make sure that everyone understands that the company you're working on, the team you're working on, it's a safe space, and everyone, and I think if everyone starts implementing that radical candor, and if you start trusting that everyone's feedback is coming from a good place and everyone is giving you feedback to improve, I think that would really help here to start helping people to accept direct feedback. And I think this is one really important thing. By giving radically candid feedback, we're not just helping to build transparency, but we are helping each other to grow. We're helping the team to grow. We're helping the product to grow. We're helping the company to grow. And if this is implemented across the company, I think we'll all start seeing some really positive effects. So I think if everyone from this, if everyone takes home a bit from this presentation, just maybe one point, and tries to implement that, maybe we can talk about it in the next Product Tank and see how it went. But I think we're going to be starting to spread this. To start increasing trust and increasing transparency, and also start embedding the growth mindset in our teams and in the company that we work, in the companies that we work in. So I don't want to keep you long. I know there's food waiting. So building successful product teams is hard work. Okay, it requires constant effort. So it's not easy. What we've just talked about here, there are other issues, as you mentioned, where people don't think that that there are maybe some problematic team members that nobody believes that they're gonna improve. Maybe it's because these people did never get radically candid feedback. Maybe they're just not as self-aware as others. Maybe there is that. Maybe that needs to be improved. But it's building teams should be just. We should treat that just like we build our products. Right? We constantly iterate on it. We constantly try out different things. We constantly look where we can improve. And we go through this cycle together. I think it requires time. It requires money as well. So if the funding for improving like the culture and the mindsets in an organization is not money thrown excuse me, down the drain. And I think the important thing is that we try to start building these mindset, this culture in organizations. And I'd like to close off by saying, like, let's also keep this in mind, not just for our places of work, but also for these meetups going forward, okay? This is a safe environment. Everyone is free to ask questions, everyone is free to share opinions, and yeah, everyone says there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? And I agree with that. We're all here to learn. So please, whenever you're in these meetups, always make sure that you share your opinion. Let's start building this community of trust here within this group here. Okay, we're all here to learn. We're all here because who doesn't want to improve in his career? Who doesn't want to improve? Anyone in here doesn't want to improve? No, we're all here to grow. We're all here to improve. We're all here to share these things together. So let's not hold back. Let's all contribute. And yeah, thank you very much.
So yeah, just to reiterate on what Luke just said. And after his talk now, you should all be really good at giving feedback, so that's what we need. We are going to send out a feedback form because we want to improve these. So we want to know if the talk was valuable, if you took things away from it, feedback on the venue, was the venue okay? So we really want to improve these and make each one better each time we do it. We're on all the social medias, so reach out to us there as well. And in person as well. We don't bite, so just come and say hello. So we have already received some feedback through the feedback forms. How many submissions did we get, Luke? Was it?
Over 30, nearly 40.
Yeah, 30, 40. We've already received feedback on topics and stuff. So this is an idea of some of the stuff that we've received already. So again, the idea is to build a community. So imagine you have a problem and you can bring it to a community and we can help you solve it. So that's kind of what we're going for here. Thanks to the sponsors, so Gig for the food, the drinks and everything you're going to enjoy tonight, and Hotjar as well for the recording equipment. Help us spread the word. Like, communities only grow by spreading the word. We're not going to pay for a lot of marketing, to be honest, so we're very reliant on you to helping us to grow this thing. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.